Okay, morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Tuesday, March 31st, 2026 Human Resources Committee meeting. And I guess what we'll do here is just dive right in. Okay, just to get started, I wanted to call this HR committee meeting because I feel there's several problems that we need to get to the bottom of. And I've been bringing this up for a number of years, and I don't want to go back in history. I want to just move forward and make things be better best I can. So I'll just give you a little brief thing here. To begin with, what we're going to cover today will not do a thing to better me, make me feel important, or enrich me in any way. In fact, my involvement with TUD has taken a huge toll on my personal life and time. But I'm not complaining because that is what I signed up for when I ran to be elected to the TUD Board of Directors a decade and a half ago. It's a community service position, or that is what it is supposed to be. I'm just trying to do the best I can for the ratepayers and TUD. At the first January of 2025 board meeting, I wanted to and hope to open up a new era of trust, understanding with common goals and teamwork between TUD staff, employees, and the TUD Board of Directors. Something that in years past that I've been involved with TUD, I've never felt existed in any real meaningful way. Try as I might, I feel that my efforts and my goal have failed. I won't do what others do and just shrug my shoulders and say, well, oh well, so sad, too bad, better luck next time. If you haven't figured it out by now, then let me clear it up for you. I'm a results person. Don't talk to me about what you're going to do. Show me. Actually do it. And if, after all your talk, the results are failure or lack of action, don't expect me to shrug my shoulders and look away. People need to be responsible for their actions. So there's a lot that this HR committee wants and needs to cover, but it will take more than just this one meeting. I also want to clarify that the description provided for today's committee meeting is not necessarily correct or what I discussed with our board clerk, Melissa McMullen, when this HR committee meeting was hastily put together. None of this has to do with Melissa at all. This was, I can give you times, dates, and all that. Well, I'm going to get to it. A lot of competing things were going on at that time, so no real follow-up was had between Melissa and I about the meeting agenda information before her necessary sudden leave of absence. This is in no way an adverse reflection on what Hallie provided us with, as I feel she did a great job of filling in for Melissa, and what is in the agenda description for today is undoubtedly provided to her by others, as she and I had no conversation prior to this committee meeting. What the committee does want to start out with is a discussion on aspects of AB 1265 and what was presented to the Board of Directors at the February 10th, 2026 TUD Board meeting, after which we will transition to, excuse me, various issues, topics, sort of mentioned in the committee agenda information. So for AB 1265 specifically, was the TUD AB 1265 meeting agenda item a properly public noticed meeting per requirements of that bill? I didn't give you a date, and I would have been, I think, February 10th, something like that. How about February 5th? No, wait a minute. Yeah, February. No.
I think I found it, February 10th,
Yeah,
2026.
February 10th, yeah.
So are you, I think you said 1265. We reported on AB 2561 on February 10th.
Okay, I may have the numbers all.
Okay, I just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure I was.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the status of vacancies?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So you're asking if it was properly noticed?
Yeah, you know, all the time in the past when we've had things that need to be publicly noticed, there's specific language, and there was no specific language that I spoke to during that meeting.
Mhm.
And I'm just wondering, did we follow what was the protocol or what was required by that assembly bill?
Yes, I specifically asked that to Liebert Cassie Whitmore in 2025 when this was new, because it did say a public hearing. It's publicly noticed in the agenda. I'm not 100% prepared for your question because I didn't know we would be talking about it, but it is something that I asked the consortium about to see if it had to go through the other public notices that Melissa puts in the paper and things like that. So the requirement for this one was really to notify the union, because the purpose of the bill was to provide the opportunity for the union to present to the board of directors if they wish to at the same meeting that they hear about the vacancies in the bargaining unit.
Yeah, I understand that. I was worried about the actual public notice.
Right, yeah. No, I was worried about that too last year, Ron, and so I specifically asked the attorneys at Liebert Cassie Whitmore about that.
And they said that.
And they
the
said
way
it
we
was.
went about it was correct.
Yes, correct.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure.
Okay.
So then, although a bit involved, to say the least, for those not familiar with the legislation, me being one of them, I felt the human relations manager did a decent job of trying to explain the regulation. However, the numbers were dealt with mostly as percentages. Over the past year, from when the last required AB, I'll let you tell the right number again, because I've got it as 1265 again.
2560.
2561. Any rate, since that last report was made to the board and the public, just exactly how many total employees have left TUD employment?
If you give me a moment, again, I wasn't prepared
Yeah, I was afraid of that.
because I didn't, yeah, so I apologize, but I can look it up if you give me a.
This is what happens when we have someone gets called out and at the last minute and there's no continuity. And I'm not blaming Melissa in any way because she had to take off, and I'm certainly not blaming Hallie because I think she did a excellent job filling in. It's unfortunate that we end up at a meeting where you are struggling to get the information.
I wasn't told that this information was going to be asked about, so I'm
That's
happy
what
to
I'm
pull
saying.
it up.
Saying,
Yeah. I'm just a little bit confused about if that was asked, I certainly would have had it available immediately.
Well, I guess where I'm.
And so that wasn't part of the email that Melissa had shared with me about what you wanted to talk about at this meeting. I'm happy to look up the information, but I don't have it at my fingertips at this time because I wasn't prepared with that question.
I was CC'd on all the emails and I don't recall this question being brought up.
Well, it was never discussed with Melissa. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, so it's not an agendized item?
It was going to be, but because she had to take off,
Oh,
the meat of this meeting was never discussed between her and I. We only got, and matter of fact, I've got the email right here, the emails back and forth. We got so far as to what was going to be the information that I wanted to have here available, and that
this is one of them?
What's that?
This question is one of them?
No, it was not.
Well, I'm
Because there was
confused
no
what happened.
background information that we hadn't even discussed this yet. It was just, what I wanted was all, for initial for this was the, job description. So anyway, we'll get there. And the only reason why I'm asking this is that, vacancy does not equal turnover, and we were given percentages, and that's my bottom line. Is what we would like to know is, you know, rather than a percentage, 2% percentage or whatever it was that we were given, is I'm of the opinion that there's quite a few people that have been that have left TUD that didn't create a vacancy because that vacancy was filled immediately by another person.
That is true in some circumstances because it could have been an internal recruitment. We could have recruited early to try and have that limited time in vacancy. Our goal is to have the lowest number of days of vacancy. So if we know someone's leaving, then we have a little bit of a head start in trying to recruit someone to either have a small amount of overlap or have that person in place when someone does leave the district, whether it be for whatever reason they leave.
And I think that's commendable. That's what we want to have happen. But where I guess what I'm trying to get to here is that then we also, which is what AB 2561 is all about, is then we have to go through a retraining or a training program. That's where the expense comes in, and that's where I get concerned as a board director, one of the members, that we're spending money that hopefully we wouldn't have to. We shouldn't have to. So along with that, were proper exit interviews undertaken with those departing employees and adequately recorded?
Yes, we do. Excuse me. We do exit interviews with our employees. Some of them opt not to do one. And so if they opt not to do one or they don't wish to speak about, then they're not recorded.
Is that information and reasons for those employees' departures available for board review, especially if there were internal adverse TUD issues that cause the employee departures that need to be looked into and corrected?
I will let Dawn answer that. However, Dawn does look at all of the exit interviews, and that would be his role is for operations and hiring and departures of the district. That's what I believe his responsibility is.
Yeah. I'm a little taken back because we're not on the agenda. We're not working off the agenda. So we're not prepared. And I don't think we should be doing this. We should probably have this agendized.
Well, this points up where the problem is. There's no succession planning.
I disagree with you.
Well, I disagree with you.
Okay.
There's
now,
definitely no succession planning. Otherwise, this wouldn't occurred.
what percent would be acceptable?
What do you mean, what percent?
But what was the percentage? 2%? 3%? It's pretty good. And still, this isn't agendized.
Once again, we're not talking about vacancy percentage. We're talking about turnover as well as succession planning.
I'm well aware of what that means.
Well,
The proper time to talk about this would have been at the board meeting when this was brought to the board, full public forum. That would have been a great time to have this conversation.
you know, this is what I've been telling you for a long time. We get the board agenda on Thursday, hopefully, and we have those few days before Tuesday to be able to go over it. And this is in-depth stuff that we don't deal with as board members on a daily basis. And then it's thrown at us at the board meeting in a presentation, and we're supposed to totally understand it. Many times I have to hear the president, not only do my homework, which I do, I then have to listen to the presentation in order to try and correlate what I read and didn't really understand, but did the best I could. Hear the presentation and then go home and absorb it, go back through everything, and then this comes up, which then, guess what? The only way to do it is at an HR committee meeting. What, am I just supposed to ignore it? Then I'm not doing my job as a board member.
Agendize it, Director Bingham.
I did. I put it on an HR committee meeting.
I didn't notice it on the agenda. Is this on the agenda?
That's because there's no succession. There was nobody to back up Melissa.
I'm not going to get into this with you. I mean,
I know you won't. This is why we're at where we're at.
we're a highly functioning district. Highly functioning. 2%. That's pretty good.
I said I don't like 2%. I want to talk about turnover, numbers.
Can you look it up? Wow, this is fun.
I did present some turnover information for the board in advance of labor negotiations. But my computer is frozen right now.
Okay, well, let's move on.
And so, yeah, and so when Hallie's backing up Melissa when she is gone, you know, I told Dawn, and I don't know if he passed it along. My phone, I'm always here for questions, and I'm always available to talk about. I put the agenda together based on the email that you had sent to Melissa, specifically addressing those specific items that you addressed, and thought that was going to be fulfill what you wanted to talk about at this meeting. I'd be happy to answer a lot of different questions about the other things if I get ample notice so that I can be prepared.
Okay, so let's move on. Let's transition to the job positions and descriptions. But first, which goes right hand in hand with job positions and descriptions, I'm going to go right back to what's going on with succession planning or the lack thereof. We've got, no one has been replaced for the PR position. And that occurred back in October. Why? The IT position, there was someone hired for that. And unfortunately, I don't know this for a fact, but I'd heard that the person that was hired to do that didn't cut it for some reason. But now we have nobody for backup for IT. And then once again, like I said, for board clerk and board secretary, which is an extremely important position, we don't have anyone back that up. So I don't know, something needs to be done. Now, changes.
May I respond to that? May I
Yeah,
respond?
sure.
Okay. Yeah, the PR position has been vacant since December. And I have taken on the responsibilities for that. And to my knowledge, we have not had anything lapse. We have fulfilled every event, every emergency, every notifications to the public, the media. Certainly you can, if you have a question about it, I'd be happy to take it. I take that very seriously, and I do not believe we've had any lapse in the public relations. Yeah, it's an overwhelming amount of work, and we have a couple of different people that have chipped in and helped in my department on that, and I'm very appreciative. And we did a recruitment for that, and we didn't find the right person. And I take a lot of responsibility for what goes on at this district, and I was not about to hire someone that I didn't feel like was going to be right for the district or represent the district well. And so it doesn't mean we won't hire someone, but we didn't find the right person during that recruitment. And I take that very seriously as well. It's not on the back burner because it falls on me. So I understand that. I'm not interested in failing at anything or letting anything drop. As far as IT, we do have an IT and systems administrator. We don't have a vacancy in IT. So I'm not exactly sure what position you're talking about there.
I'm talking about somebody to back up Corey when Corey is sick, or
Oh.
when Corey goes on vacation, or when Corey has a sudden issue like Melissa had for the past 10, 12 days, whatever, she had to go away.
We have a backup for Corey. It's not an in-house person. We have to sub it out, but there is a backup there.
And then as far as Melissa goes, Hallie Bell can fill in basically all duties for Melissa. She's done it a number of times, and Melissa has done a good job at transferring knowledge to her. And so whether she's utilized or not while Melissa is out, we can't help that, but she is fully prepared to take on any responsibilities when Melissa's gone. And if she
Second
can't,
person?
Hallie Bell.
Oh. But as you saw, it failed this time.
Well, I don't think we didn't have, we didn't have the clear
I'd like
expectations.
you to clear that. I would like you to retract that.
I'm not going to retract
Well,
it
nothing
because
failed.
it's the truth.
Show me the email exchange where you said it passed, it failed.
Show you
I want to
what?
see the email exchange that you had that Hallie failed to those things on the
I didn't
agenda.
say that I sent an email to Hallie that it failed.
Well, then how did
I'm
it fail?
saying it failed because we're here today and it wasn't, you know,
That's confusing to me. I mean, it's just not making any sense, Ron.
well, it's making a lot of sense if you listen.
No, it's not making a lot, to most of us, it's not making much sense.
Stop including them because they're not agreeing with you. Just speak for yourself.
I won't be spoken to that way, Mr. Ringen.
Well, I'm
will
telling you,
not
don't
be
speak to
spoken
me,
that way.
don't speak to me that way either.
I'm not.
So, okay, so let's move on.
This is the most embarrassing situation I've been at this district in 25 years, 26 years now. I can't believe we've divulged to this low.
You and I have had this discussion, this basic discussion leading up to this, and I told you.
Sure,
we need
you
to
don't want to
correct
air it
it.
all out here.
So, well, we need to correct it because one of the things that really concerns.
I would like for you to show me exactly where we have failed.
Oh, please, don't make me go there.
May I say something here?
Yes, please.
I actually called in to try to talk to Hallie, but I couldn't reach her. And then I came in, and even when I came in, she wasn't here. So I don't know, and I never received a phone call back. I got what I wanted, but it was just that I wasn't able to even speak with her. I don't ever have that problem with Melissa.
We were at a career fair at Columbia College on Friday, and she was returning your emails. She was reading your emails and she returned your emails to tell you when to get your paperwork. So, and I
I
have a
emailed
cell
her.
phone. Everyone at the district knows how to get a hold of me and Hallie if we're out. We had a note on my door that said exactly where we were. So I apologize for that. We have a lot of jobs here and we just don't have the budget to have 2 people in every job unless that's what the board would like to do.
I never emailed her. I called.
Okay, or maybe
I called her.
it could have been a voicemail.
It was a
It
voicemail.
came through her email, excuse me. Yeah,
Yeah.
we get a text from your voicemail. So
Yeah.
she saw that and then,
But then I didn't, of course, I don't know where her office was. Somebody had to direct me there, but there was no note or anything there either. And the girls at the front didn't even know. They did not tell me. You know, otherwise it would have been a lot more convenient for me just to say, okay, I'm good with this then. But I didn't know,
okay.
even upon calling.
Okay. So you touched on, well, first of all, you touch on the org chart, and all of the, items that you've taken on. And I think that's commendable, but, that's not sustainable. And that's how things go off the rails, is when people, I'm very concerned about how much, Eric Hall has that he's responsible for. And for you to take on all these other things without getting people in place to do those things, I don't understand how it occurs, number one, without the board even knowing about it. It's just, it occurs. Suddenly you're doing that job. And you were the human resources manager. And now all of a sudden you're the PR person and God knows what else. Once again, that's commendable that that you're willing to take all that on, but that's not how this organization is going to run smoothly. It's just, there's too much going on here and I'm afraid it's going to come off the rails. So the job descriptions, one of the things that has come up for a long time, and I've talked to you about this numerous times, is that I feel, I know that the board of directors is not informed completely of things that are going on. In fact, at times I think we're only informed of things in order to get the vote it's needed, in order to get whatever project or issue to move forward. I don't think that's at all correct or proper. On the general manager job description, it says in numerous places, under policy direction of a 5-member elected board of directors. That's you provide executive direction for all functions, blah, blah, blah. Within guidelines established by the board. Keeps the board of directors advised. This carries through for also other staff job descriptions. So where I'm going with this is there was a change in 2020 which the board never okayed, never was informed on when some of these job descriptions were changed. And I think we need to go back to that time and bring it back to the board and delineate, explain what each one of these positions is supposed to be, and have everyone agree to it, so we get back on track and we have people that are all doing the jobs that they're designed or we're hired to do. I mean, I don't think that we should have a human resources manager doing 5 other jobs. I don't think it's sustainable. So I think that needs to be reviewed. I think it needs to be brought back to the board, the full board, and discussed in detail and bring it back to where it was, because there was a sudden change in the org chart in 2020, and the board never was, that was never brought before the board about these changes in the job descriptions.
Well, if you could be a little more specific about which positions were changed, but maybe before you do, maybe the titles changed, but the job requirements, the job responsibilities didn't change a lick. And I mean, under Abby's position, she's always been in charge of human resources, risk management, safety, and as of 2020 or so, public relations fell into her cap as well.
If I might add to, in the Schedule 1 positions of the fiscal year budget adopted, all of the positions are lined out. And if there are any changes between the previous fiscal year and the next fiscal year, it's delineated in there. So
What's that again now? I'm sorry.
So for instance, so this schedule right here,
Yeah,
so I think you're referring to a couple of titles. So Human Resources Director, that's what the title was changed to Administrative Services Director, and Operations Manager was changed to Operations
that's
Director.
correct.
Correct. And so that happened in, and if my computer wasn't now frozen, I could put it
June
on the
9th, I
screen.
think. June 9th.
June 9th, 2020. Correct. And so that happened. And so I could show you this, I could bring it to you. Schedule 1 position. So for under listing, there is Human Resources Director under FY20 says 1, and then it says 0 on FY21. And similarly, Administrative Services Director says 0, and FY21 says 1. So that indicates the change from Human Resources Director to Administrative Services Director. And then the same thing is down on the operations. It went from Operations Manager went from 1 to 0, and Operations Director went from 0 to 1 to indicate that change. So in this schedule of positions that's in the operating budget each year, that's where you see any of those changes. And typically, and we would highlight certain areas, at least staff would highlight to kind of review what changes happened. If there's an addition of an FTE, if there's a transfer from an FTE, say in one division of operations to another division in operations, that's what comes out in this position schedule. And I'm happy to, if you'd like to look at it.
I've got it.
Okay.
And everything you're saying is true. I've got the entire, right here, that whole board meeting right here.
Okay.
But nowhere is there in this agenda item or in this packet an explanation as to why that change was. And I argued about this at that meeting. I remember it explicitly, is why are we changing the names? And the general manager at that time said something, it was some dog and pony thing about, Well, because they work a lot of overtime, we don't want to pay them overtime. And I'm thinking that is ridiculous because they're salaried positions.
Yeah.
It's noted that you're going to work overtime anyways. So, but at that time, the board was in such a situation that, you know, whether I voted for it or not wouldn't make any difference. It was going to pass. And so now, when you compare what the human resources manager job was prior to that, to what it became afterwards, was entirely different. And the board was completely, those of us that really cared about it as to what was going on, we were out of the loop. We didn't get explained. It was never pointed out why exactly that change was made. It just was made. So between, I got the dates here when the org chart changed. Between those 2 months, all of a sudden that it was just a done deal. And the board didn't, those of us that cared about it didn't know anything about it. I mean, it was never brought out, and that's what needs to end. I think we need to go back, relook at it, and straighten out how many job things. In other words, I think there's too many job things that have to be done under certain positions. And human resources is one of them. That's just what's going on right now. The load you're carrying is beyond belief. That shouldn't be like that. There should be individual, and like PR. Right now, I've been talking for a couple of years now that I think that we should be really starting to put out an effort to educate the ratepayers and the people of this community about our attempt to have the PG&E acquisition. We're not doing anything on that, and we're getting close to maybe being able to make it. And it scares me or concerns me that if we don't do this right, we will fail, and this county cannot have us fail on that project. And there's other things too that we need to be cognizant of as far as not failing on. And unless everybody is able to do their job and do it to the best of their ability and not fail, then we will fail. And I can't have that. We can't have that. County can't have that. Our ratepayers can't have that. We need to make a change.
And you've been going on for a while. I kind of want to go back, but you know, it's been 6 years, I guess, since this change in the job descriptions titles happened. It was under a different general manager. As I recall, that general manager, because I was the operations manager at the time, said that you should be called the operations director because you really do direct a whole bunch of people. I didn't see a big deal. If the general manager felt like he wanted to change my title to director from manager, fine with me. I didn't see a big change. None of my roles changed. None of Eric's roles have changed since then. And the same thing goes for Abby. I wasn't privy to the conversation that the GM had with Abby at the time, but probably the same conversation, that you're really a director of departments and items. And so your title should be, actually, you were always a director. Always a director. So the operations, you were a human resources director at the time and administrative service director.
Manager, human resources manager until.
I don't want to argue with you. You're just incorrect.
You want me to show it to you? I've
Yeah.
got the paper here.
We have it too.
I am curious what you have because
Not that it's going to solve anything or fix anything. It's just, make us look bad, but sure. Let's see what you got.
Damn paper here. Any rate, once again,
Additionally, I think it's the general manager's prerogative to assign duties as he sees fit based on the board's policy.
And per the policy, just since we're talking about policy, the policy is that the board will set compensation. If there's a new classification, if there's a new compensate, that an associated compensation and a change in compensation, all of those items are brought to the board.
no. I don't recall that at all. That's one of the things that is why I wanted to call this meet. That's right there. That is, no, that does not happen.
For instance, we have, you may recall, when we have brought to the board, most recently, several different class series, regulatory compliance specialist, engineering coordinator class series, engineering tech class series, communications tech class series on throughout the last several years of the district. So when we're setting compensation or a new classification, that gets brought to the board.
Well, I don't have one early enough to be able to show you what I'm talking about. But the change came around in early 2020. That's when the change came. The actual change came on the new org chart on June 2nd, 2020.
Are you referring to the title change?
Yeah.
Correct. We described that in the Schedule C, or one, I'm sorry, Schedule 1 of that.
And I'm saying there's no, here's what we were given. This is what the board was given for that board meeting. And nowhere in here is an explanation for why that title change was made or anything else.
I can't go back 6 years and try and figure out what the GM and the board was discussing, not discussing, in private. I have no idea.
Well,
But it's 6 years ago. It's
It's
6 years ago,
it occurred.
But you implied that, I think you tried to imply that there was some compensation change as a result of the title change, and that's what I'm trying to say is. that did
No,
not happen.
what I'm saying is there was a broader expanse of oversight of other areas that was given at that time.
Yeah, the general manager, I think that's the general manager prerogative. That's what you hire the general manager to do.
But that needs to go before the board.
I don't think it has in the past.
Well, that's what the problem is. That's why we're here today.
Okay, well,
It needs to stop because that's part of the deal. All these are the sort of things that need to go before the board first. The board then votes on it and then it moves forward. See, that's the problem. That's what I've been trying to tell you. So we've really hit on the crux of what I was talking about. One is we've got numerous failures that has cost the ratepayers, utility, a lot of money. That has to end. And we need to start getting the board informed and able to make a decision in order so that those decisions move forward. And I don't expect this to get corrected here, but I definitely want to bring it back to the full board so that the full board can discuss this and get to the bottom of it and be able to provide decent direction to our general manager and staff so that we go to the teamwork that I had tried to put together over a year ago and I failed. I don't like failing, but it's much more important than whether I failed or not. It's that we don't have the teamwork. We're not working together. And if we don't work together, how in the hell are we gonna be able to handle a project as big as acquiring PG&E, Project W, or any of the other things that are so important? We need people in place that don't fail. We need to have a board that knows what's going on, and we can give good decisions and provide good direction. Any example?
I'm looking for a recommendation.
Well, okay. My first recommendation is at 3:30 on last Friday, the board received a email stating that the engineering department was gonna move forward on Sierra Pines, gonna hire outside contractors, consultants, gonna do this, do that. I thought you and I said that, well, one, I said that we should have a water committee meeting to undertake this discussion. And you felt that that wasn't acceptable, that you wanted a workshop. Well, why are we having a workshop? Well, first of all, there's no workshop been scheduled or anything else. And if there was to be one, why is it going to be done after engineering department's already moving forward on the Sierra Pines project, even though it was a total failure in this design build thing? Why wasn't the board consulted? Why wasn't that suggestion, that idea, brought before the board for the board to decide on it and then provide direction?
We brought the Sierra Pines item to the board in closed session. And it was talked about at great lengths in there. And since then, between you and me and me and other board members, you know, quite a bit. So I'm not sure where the gap in information is coming from, because I've been pretty clear about what we're going to have to do here to get this accomplished. Now, I did recommend, and I still do recommend, that we have a workshop. So once we have a full plan developed, we understand to the best of our abilities what the costs are, then we can take it to a workshop and have a discussion with the board. And
Why
I'm
would
getting
you
to
do
know
that?
this isn't agendized either.
It's all part of it.
Well, it just isn't agendized. I get it's part of it, but
That's because we don't have good succession planning. It's all connected.
we have good succession planning.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
It just
It's your
failed.
opinion.
It just failed.
It did not.
It did.
You're not describing me how it's failed, and we're wasting a lot of time.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
This is what needs to get corrected. It's been going on for a long time. It needs to get corrected.
Nothing's broken.
Really?
This isn't on the agenda.
It is on the agenda. This is
Sierra
all
Pines
part
isn't
of
on
what
the agenda.
I wanted to have come out, and for years now, and it keeps getting buried. I've got a whole list here of things that have been failures over the past several years that needs to be corrected. And it can't get corrected as long as the board is constantly out of the loop. Period. So if you're looking for a direction or a recommendation from this committee, I want to consult first or make sure that I allow my committee member to state anything, if you have anything to state. And if not, then my suggestion is that we agendize this and bring it to the full board for a full discussion and lay this all out as far as what failures we've had, how we're going to go about correcting it, what we're going to do about succession planning, what we're going to do about staff positions that are overburdened that need to be put back in a position, and then having people at least start looking for people to take up the slack so that people aren't overworked. I get really concerned about how much Eric Hall has to take on, and he's going to have to take on. I don't even know how it's going to work when we take on the PG&E acquisition. That's a monumental project. So I think it needs to come back agendized for the full board, be able to discuss with staff. Let's get this thing straightened out. And it's nothing that I want to do, but it's something that we need to do. Otherwise, I'm afraid we're gonna fail. We can't fail. Thank you.
Just if you want to clarify, you said agendize this. So since the agenda description wasn't what you,
Right, okay. So specifically, what I would like to do is have a review of quote unquote recent failures, which I have a list of here, that has cost the ratepayers and the TUD organization substantial money, and things that we are going to, that we need to have fixed that aren't even, that have been swept under the rug, that aren't even on the list anymore, and how we're gonna go about correcting that through session planning, through job descriptions. How we're gonna do it so that we got teamwork finally. Need to go? Thanks for taking the time. Hope it doesn't set you back too far. Hear that? How to correct past failure.
That's how you want the job description written? I mean, the agenda item written by listing failures?
Well, how else are we gonna address it?
Would you mind being balanced and having a list of successes too?
How will that help us move forward?
I think it's important to be balanced.
Well, I know you do, because you're trying to smooth over what,
Trying to smooth over.
yeah, you are.
Again, you're just getting personal for no reason.
I'm not
I
getting
just-
personal.
Yeah,
This is
Kind of
business.
is.
This
Kinda
is TUD
Kind of
business.
is. I've
This
never
isn't
heard
personal.
anything like this in my life, Ron. It's kind of,
Maybe-
this is kind of embarrassing for this district.
Well, that's,
Really, really
Can
embarrassing.
I say something here?
yes, please.
Why don't we do the agenda, say the successions and failures and a compliance to meet between the two? Does that sound better?
How
mean-
about review of succession planning, job descriptions, and issues facing the district?
That's fine with me.
I'm good with that. Is that okay with you, Don?
Yeah, good. Thank you, Melissa.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What meeting you want this agendized for?
You want it
Next
for a
one.
board meeting or a
Next
committee
one.
meeting?
Good, we'll have a closed session for you, but it's next. You want to do it for 2 weeks from now?
It's possible. I mean, this is something that I feel the board needs to be educated on, that we need to get to a point where board and staff on the same page together, positive.
April 28th meeting? That's not this coming up meeting, but the following one?
thing. Well, nothing else?